A reading from the Gospel of Luke. As someone in the crowd said to Jesus, "Teacher, tell my brother to divide the family inheritance with me." But he said to him, "Friend, who sent me to be a judge or arbiter over you?" And he said to them, "Take care. Be on your guard against all kinds of greed, for one's life does not consist in the abundance of possessions." Then he told them a parable. The land of a rich man produced abundantly. And he thought to himself, "What should I do? For I have no place to store my crops." And then he said, "I will do this. I will pull down my barns and build larger ones. And there I will store all my grain and my goods. And I will say to my soul, 'Soul, you have ample goods laid up for many years. Relax, eat, drink, and be merry.' But God said to him, 'You fool, this very night your life is being demanded of you. And the things that you've prepared, whose will those be?' So it is with those who store up treasures for themselves, but are not rich towards God." Well, first of all, this passage having everything to do with Jesus telling us a parable that helps us understand what's really important in life, what's truly valuable. And as this sermon is airing, we always record these a little bit ahead because there's a bit of production that goes into them. As this is airing, I will be, along with another dozen parishioners of St. James, somewhere in northern Spain on a pathway between our starting point in Pamplona and our ending point at the great cathedral in Compostela, to venerate the relics, the remains of our patron St. James. And somewhere in the midst of all of this, we shall be trekking along and living into a whole different way of being when you are on this way of the pilgrim, the Camino, where it's a lot about the path you're on with other people, the destination, and also what is happening and transforming you along the way. My understanding in studying for this, I have not gone yet as I'm recording this, but my understanding is that the Camino provides, God provides while you're on the Camino, and your focus becomes very narrow. It really helps you to focus on what is right in front of us, what is happening today, who are the companions I'm walking along with, who's had to go on beyond me, who am I leaving behind. There's all sorts of play in this rope in terms of how it spools out. And every Camino is different, and every Camino is defined by the fact that we're becoming ultimately present to God, to God's creation, to our destination. In our case, a special destination for those of us from a different St. James. I mean, same St. James, but a church, a different cathedral of St. James in a different city. We have vague outlines, but we're all making our way, and we will be invited ever more deeply into experiencing life hour by hour as it passes us by, in this sort of strange suspended animation, away from all of the things we care for, all of the people we care about, all of the things that anchor us to our physical lives. It's a nice foretaste of what it means to think about being alive, just in its purest form, making sure you have enough food, making sure you get to where you're going so you have a place to sleep that night. It's an exercise, a spiritual exercise in tuning into what Jesus is talking about here, which is, don't confuse the things that we have. Don't confuse the things you have, he says, all of the wonderful things with your life. They're different. They're different categories. And your life is the most precious thing that you have. And indeed, it's the thing given by God. And it's eventually the thing we're all rendering back to God one way or another in the end. You'll always hear me say during giving seasons that I learned long ago that the whole point of giving our money and our time and our talent to God's mission in the world, through the church or whatever other institution we contribute it through, it's about the spiritual calisthenics for that day when each one of us will eventually give our whole selves over to God, back over to God. God is always always in the background for us, whether we know it or not. And our limited lifespan is always in the background, no matter what. And Jesus says, don't make the mistake of mistaking your possessions and the other things or people that we care for with our life and what we have both to live and where that life is heading, the pilgrimage we're all walking, consciously or not, between having been granted this life to live, to enjoy, to spend wisely in the service of God and others. We're all making our way toward that giving back of that life and into the presence of the God who has created us and loved us into being. So all of that is to say, as you go through the rest of this day, may you find some time to reflect on what it is that you have and care for and tend to, and who it is that you are at your core. May God give you the wisdom to discern the difference and the discernment to spend wisely that most precious asset that you have, that most precious resource that you have, which is the very life you've been given. May God be with you this day in that discernment. May God bless you and keep you this day and always. Amen.